Hello, friends. There's a lot going on in my life, but I've set aside this time just to chat with you. So let's dig right in, okay? Today, I'm answering a question from a listener. So I'm talking about the cost of unhealthy eating. Now, that's not exactly what she asked, but that's how I'm going to answer. That's how I'm choosing to answer her in what she did ask. My show, my answer, right? So here's what Georgia Lund said in her review. I love this podcast. I find it very encouraging. I was wondering if you could cover your experience with the difference in the cost of eating healthy versus unhealthy. I feel like healthy foods are really expensive. And then she says, thank you. Well, I've been asked this question many, many times to talk about the cost of healthy eating versus unhealthy. But, I know what the thought process is. The thought process is that healthy food is more expensive. But I've found just the opposite. Eating unhealthy is even more expensive in the long haul because we are eating everything in sight and we are eating more and we're eating whatever we want. And that's usually junk food and fast food and things that are very unhealthy. And therefore, the costs just continue to roll on because we think, because this bag of chips is it's on sale for $2, that I can buy that because it's cheap. But how quickly do you eat that bag of chips? I mean, I know people who eat a bag of chips a day, a big bag of chips. So if you're eating that bag of chips a day and drinking 2 to 3 2-liter sodas or diet sodas a day, plus eating a bag of cookies or a batch of cookies you've baked and whatever meals you eat, buying frozen chicken breasts to grill and the fixings for salad is a whole lot less expensive. It's all a matter of changing your mindset. We've gotten into this mindset that more food is better. And that is just the wrong way that we need to look at things. So say you eat the same quantity you're eating when the same quantity of unhealthy foods, let me put it this way. If you eat the same quantity that you're eating when you don't have this stop button, when you don't have a stop eating button, then even eating unhealthy will be expensive. Whether you're eating healthy or unhealthy, both are going to be expensive if you don't have the button that says stop eating now. You don't have the turn off button, and I didn't for a long time. But I know now my food bills are a lot less expensive these days than when I was eating whatever I wanted and however much I wanted. Eating healthy is just not about eating the same quantity of food, only making it more healthy food. That might help in the beginning to get you switched over to eating healthy food, but it is really about changing our entire lifestyle and the entire reason that we're eating in the first place. So if food is what we crave, we don't really realize the cost of what we are doing. Take the cost of, say, a dozen large cinnamon rolls. They used to be my very favorite food, and I could get them for less if I bought them by the baker's dozen, which is actually 13, so you get one free. Those giant cinnamon rolls do cost more than, say, a glazed donut or a dozen glazed donuts. But I didn't care. Cost was no object when I wanted my sugar fix. I said I was saving money by buying 13 and freezing them. However, in reality, it was just so I had one whenever I wanted it. And I'd find myself getting a baker's dozen every other day, or sometimes more often than that. Yet no one else in my family was eating them. So guess who was eating all of them? Then there were bags of candy, chips, cookies, large pretzels, pizzas, and, those awesome frozen rolls. Like when you bake those rolls, they taste just like Grandma's hot rolls used to. These are all comfort foods deluxe. Even what might be considered healthy food, though, I could make unhealthy if I wanted to. I'd get bread and fry meats instead of bake and broil them without breading. But no, I preferred to add the unhealthy to it, which really does cost more in the long run. Now, I know I save money when I go to the grocery store today, even eating gluten-free items, which I do eat sugar-free and gluten-free these days. And gluten-free are usually more expensive than regular processed foods, but I've even learned on my journey not to buy boxed or pre-made gluten-free foods, because most of those have something added to make them taste better, and it's usually sugar. So, for the last, I'd say at least 10 years, I haven't been using food as a panacea for every emotional turmoil I feel. That was pretty much a constant thing because I had programmed myself to eat whenever I felt an emotion I didn't want to feel rise up. I didn't want to deal with it, didn't really know how to deal with it. But after learning more about how to deal with my emotions in a much more positive way, I found that I was eating a whole lot less than I ever did before, because my why for eating had changed. It had become not eating just to eat, not living just to eat, but eating in order to live, in order to fuel my body. So my staples today, when I go to the grocery store, might include lettuce, sometimes strawberries. Even lately, I've not been buying many fresh strawberries because they go to waste if I don't eat them. But I do keep pecans and cashews available. I like to have frozen chicken breasts in the freezer if I want to make those. Roasted chicken breast, deli meat, low sodium if possible, are really a mainstay. And then as a sandwich part of it, to make a sandwich, I usually use mozzarella slices. Sometimes I will use also a corn tortilla that doesn't have flour in it. And I also have bottled water. That's a big staple of mine. I want to be sure I have eggs, almond butter, almond flour, and those I usually don't have to buy because I've already got them, and I have them. I don't use them a whole lot, so I don't need a whole lot of that. Gluten-free flour as well, same thing. I don't use a whole lot, but I like to have it on hand. Same thing with gluten-free pasta like a rotini. And then I try to keep sugar-free tomato sauce, monk fruit or stevia, that stuff I keep around all the time. All of these are things I don't have to buy every week or every month even, because they're not things I use in quantities. Sometimes I buy bananas to use as a sweetener. Other things I keep on hand are coconut oil, olive oil, cinnamon, oregano, parsley, Italian spices, and other spices as needed. But with that grocery list filled, I can eat for quite some time. And I do eat a good steak every once in a while when I go out, or I also sometimes use hamburger if I cook some gluten-free pasta and with tomato sauce and spices. So in the past, though, I would cook pasta or potatoes every meal. I don't do that anymore because salad or fruit is just as filling. I focus on the protein. That's my first goal, is to get the protein inside me. You know, almond flour and gluten-free flour is more expensive, but like I said, well, first of all, it comes in a smaller container than the regular processed flour, and I don't use a lot of those. As a matter of fact, I still have a small bag of almond flour in my freezer. I don't keep it in my fridge. I keep it in the freezer because I can take that out and use that at any time. It's been there for several years. Just don't use it that much. The point is, I eat a lot less of everything than I did when I was super morbidly obese. The operative word here is less. Part of the issue with baking with processed sugar and flours is that it encourages us to eat more. The same thing is true of junk food, prepackaged frozen foods, and fast foods, a whole lot of kinds of things that we buy. They are all geared towards making us want to eat more. So we buy more. However, we aren't really eating more because we have a stomach hunger. We're not really hungry. We are eating more because it is filling a different kind of need. So we have feelings associated with foods we remember as comfort foods, like mashed potatoes and gravy, country fried steak, fried chicken, green beans slathered in bacon fat and ham, cherry cobbler with ice cream, homemade cinnamon rolls, and anything else Grandma used to make. We remember the look of those foods, the smells, the tastes, the feelings of warmth and comfort associated with these foods. Our mouths start watering just thinking about them. Sorry, but I probably made you start salivating right now by even mentioning those foods. 1 second ago, we weren't hungry, and now we think we are. Why? Because we are thinking about these kinds of foods. So please don't run out and whip up a batch of rolls right now just because I mentioned it. The costly nature of, say, cinnamon rolls and other such tasty treats is not just in what we spend purchasing grocery carts full of empty calories. It's also in the cost to our bodies. We gain weight. And when we gain weight, we begin to be more susceptible to various diseases because of the weight gain. And you know what they are. Heart disease, a big one. Diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, and so many others. Thomas Edison said it this way: the doctor of the future will give no medication, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, diet, and the cause and prevention of disease. Now, let me clarify for Thomas here a minute. By diet, he didn't mean going on another diet, right? Going on another restrictive plan. He meant what we eat, which is actually what the word diet means. You know, the diet of, a bird is different from my diet, or the diet of a dog is different from what I eat. We don't feed, or we shouldn't really feed our pets human food. They have a special kind of food that works better for them. Same thing for us. And that's what Thomas Edison meant by the word diet. It might mean we are on an all we can eat, whatever we want and whenever we want diet. But we're on some kind of eating regimen. And it's become a regimen because it's become habitual. But really the biggest cause of most of our ailments do stem from what we put into our body, what we eat, what we drink. Diet sodas, even sugary sodas, to huge things that are also very detrimental to our bodies. Change what we eat, and we can fix a lot of our health problems. Sometimes, though, we don't know what we are eating. Even the fresh fruits and vegetables we eat, we aren't sure whether or not they have pesticides, unless we know exactly who grew them and where they were grown. And our meat is subject to, whatever the animals ate, and we're not sure about that. I do try to buy local produce when I can, and I buy beef from a farmer I know, but I am not totally organic. It's just a little too difficult for me to figure all of that out, but many people do swear by organic food only. Even buying from local farmers markets, you can many times get fruits and vegetables for less if you have time to shop that way and time to get there at the time that they are there. But one thing we know for sure, processed, prepackaged, even canned foods have additional additives. And if we read the label, we'll see things that we can't even pronounce, right? I mean, they are all added to give these enhanced flavors and prolonged shelf life. They are added for the producer's convenience, though they tell us it's for our convenience. And they do make it so that we don't have to do much of anything except that we take that frozen family meal and stick it in the oven for an hour and dinner is ready, right? We like that. We like easy. I know I like easy too, but I've learned that easy is not always the best. So what cost is that convenience to us? Many of these foods are high in sodium and sugar. Just read the labels and you'll see. Why sugar has to be added to chicken broth, I am really not sure. But I do know this. It does make everything taste better. And now that I am off of sugar, off of processed sugar, I can tell when sugar has been added. I couldn't before. I was too inundated with it to even be able to tell a difference. Now I can tell. I know if that has sugar in it. I know it, even if they don't tell me that it does. These costs we absorb in our bodies. When our bodies break down, we wonder why. We go to the doctor who treats the symptoms, but doesn't tell us the core of the issue. That issue is the supposedly cheap food we put into our mouths. But is it really that cheap? So which costs more? One item for $10? Or 10 items for $1 each? Or even 20 items for 50 cents each? We can eat the one and be full and healthy. Or we can cram the 10 or the 20 down and be overstuffed and have the beginning of a giant problem. And actually, that problem feeds then the drug industry and the pharmaceutical industry, which is another huge, monstrous money sucker in our society. Now, not only that, but we have this illness, that the doctor is treating with all of these expensive prescriptions. But even those prescriptions, even the pharmaceuticals, aren't solving the problem or the core issue. They are just attacking symptoms, and using those pharmaceuticals may make us feel worse rather than better in the long haul. My point is this: eating healthy trumps eating crap. Yep, I said that word. Sorry, but it's just the truth. Eating healthy trumps eating the junk, the bad foods that are destined to cause us harm in our bodies. One thing most food manufacturers don't claim, though, is that the cheaper food or the cheaper family meal that we buy is healthy for our family. That's because they know it isn't healthy for us. It's just good for their business. And many times the foods they do mark as healthy have added ingredients. We still need to read those labels. I don't trust much of anything that is prepackaged unless I know those who made it and those who prepackaged it. For instance, I searched until I found some really good tasting, gluten-free, high content protein bars with no processed sugar and only 1 gram of added sugar, and it comes from raw maple syrup. And they have very low carbs. They are made by a fitness trainer who made them for her clients, and now this is her business. Her primal bars are the ones without processed sugar, and they are the only bars I eat. I have to order them and freeze them because there are no preservatives. Yet they could sit out a few days, like if, for instance, I've taken them on trips before and not had a problem. But I love buying these kinds of things because I know they are healthy for me, even if they cost more than the ones I can buy in the store, which have at least 5 or more grams of unhealthy sugars. So these are called Marigold bars, and I'll put that link down in the show notes if you want to check them out. A long time ago, my grandma taught me that shopping at a better store for clothing was worth it because the clothing would last longer and would likely fit better, and I wouldn't need to replace it so often. So there's a similarity here with how we spend our grocery budgets. We can buy 3 grocery carts full of junk food, or we can buy half a cart of healthy food. Which one is better for you? Which one is better for your body? Which one is better for your family? Finally, the biggest issue is we want someone to fix our problem, our weight issue, our problem. And it's obvious that the doctor isn't going to do it unless you have an awesome doctor like I did several years ago who believed wellness therapy included educating his patients on the right things to eat, and the right vitamin and mineral supplements to take to enhance health. However, the most help I found was when I was stuck in this endless loop was a group to help me untangle myself from the snare of addiction to these unhealthy foods I was eating. I had a mentor and an accountability group that really helped me on this journey. And yeah, I paid for the group, so that was extra money, but it was worth it. Through the years, I had paid thousands of dollars for weight loss supplements, pills, plans, programs, and all that kind of stuff. And I had a closet full of all that junk. I actually called it my weight loss cemetery because I didn't throw it away. I'd paid for it, but I wasn't using it. None of those worked for me because I didn't stick with them, and I didn't plan to change my lifestyle to become more health-oriented. I just wanted a magic fix, and that's what we all wanted. But I knew what I needed was a mentor to challenge me and hold my feet to the fire. I needed someone to ask me the tough questions. I had to begin to think about what I had done to myself and my body. I needed someone to help me begin a total lifestyle change. This is nothing like a diet, though along the way I had to understand what things I needed to stay away from because they were highly addictive to me, and what things I could eat in moderation. Understanding that I am a sugar and comfort food addict was huge for me. God had already told me to stop eating sugar and breads and eat more meats, fruits, and vegetables. That finally made sense to me when I looked back over my life and I saw all the times I tried to go on diets, lost some weight, but then gained it back when I went back to eating whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted it. Now, I want to point this out. Not everyone with a weight issue is a food addict like I was. And I still would be if I were eating things made with sugar and flour today. As long as I stay away from them, I am not addicted to them. But I know God has a lifestyle change plan tailor-made for each of us. Surrendering to His plan for us is where everything starts to happen. And part of that surrender is doing away with all the excuses we have as to why we can't follow what God has laid out for us. My mentor was instrumental in helping me make some of these monumental changes. I could only do that, though, by knowing that God was leading me all the way. Having a group that was on the same journey I was also helped. We encouraged and supported each other, but in the final analysis, what really made the difference for me was knowing what God wanted me to do. So back in July of 2014, after writing my first book, which is my memoir, Sweet Grace, How I Lost 250 Pounds and Stopped Trying to Earn God's Favor, I felt God urging me to form an online Christian weight loss accountability group. And at the time, there were groups that were free. However, I knew from my own experience they wouldn't work because I never took them seriously, and I didn't think anyone else would either. I wanted those coming into a group to be committed to the journey. So when I asked God about how to make that happen, I felt He said to me, no investment, no commitment. So what that meant was when we invest our hard-earned money into something, anything, we tend to be committed to that, be committed to doing the hard work that it takes to really lose weight. And it does take some hard work, folks. I'm not going to say it doesn't take hard work, but God will be with us every step of the way. But to be honest, I struggled with charging for my coaching group. However, I knew it was the right decision. There were a lot of hidden costs I wasn't expecting, I had to get people to help me run the group, had to purchase new software for my website, and have someone a whole lot smarter than me responsible for making sure that site worked right. And then there was advertising costs to let folks know about the group, not to mention the endless hours I spent working on answering questions and posts in the group, creating the videos, providing transcripts and action steps. Really, there is no end to what I do, but I love doing it all. My mentor says, nothing good ever comes easy. That has been more than true for my weight loss journey. It's even truer for running an online coaching program, which I've done for 6 years now. Not sure truer is a word, but you get what I mean. At the beginning, when I first published Sweet Grace, I had hundreds of people who emailed and messaged me wanting me to tell them how to lose weight. And of course, I wrote Sweet Grace and the Sweet Grace Study Guide as a way to show them how to do this journey. So I'm a writer. It's what I do, so I will always share in the written form. But I'm currently working now on my 6th book, and each one has been about the weight loss journey in some form or fashion. You can find all of those on my website, teresashieldsparker.com, or on Amazon, and it's all under my name, Teresa Shields Parker, and the Sweet series is what each one is a part of. But back to those who wanted help, I found myself trying to individually interact with every person, and it was exhausting, to tell you the truth. Not only that, I was saying the same thing over and over to the same people, and I knew I couldn't have that many ongoing conversations with people. I just couldn't keep track of them all. That's why I began the online coaching group in the first place. So if you need help, it is truly my desire to give you that help. However, a group is really the best and most inexpensive way for me to do that. I also have limited one-on-one coaching slots, but to tell you the truth, I have to charge a much higher price for that because my time is limited. That's just a hard fact I've had to accept, especially now that I'm getting a little bit older. And even though I do love one-on-one coaching, I do love that process. But in the group, members have access to 25 courses, which includes 200 video lessons. And the group is run from a private Facebook group where we can go through a video lesson from a specific course each week. Anytime you want to go through it, it's not like at a specific time. The lesson is posted on Thursdays, and you can go in and do that at any time during the week. And then members can access any of the other materials from our online video dashboard that's on our website. And there's a few courses that we've gone through recently that are posted on the Facebook group in the units area, which is a nice thing that Facebook has recently designed. Also, the monthly Overcomers video call, the live monthly video call that I do, I record that and we put that in units area there in the Facebook group so that those members can have access to that too. On this live monthly call, I work one-on-one with those who are willing to work through any specific issues or problems that they're having. This is really my favorite time of the month, friends. I just love it because breakthroughs always seem to happen, and I so love watching God do his thing. I get to see it right there before my eyes, and it's exciting. But breakthroughs also happen as individuals go through the lessons and do the action steps. And I'm available in the Facebook group to answer the questions. I'm pretty much in there every day except for Sundays when I attempt to take a break. In Overcomers Christian Weight Loss Academy, I desire to work with those who are really committed to change. Although this podcast has been mainly about food, this episode, food is definitely not the only thing to work on in my group. As a matter of fact, I don't share recipes or tell you how to eat. I'll give you some guidelines about that in one of my courses. But I lead you to understand how to develop your own lifestyle eating plan with God's help. This may sound a little frightening, it is to some, I know. But I assure you, God really wants to be involved in every area of your life. Body, soul, and spirit. Romans 12:2 in the Message says it this way: fix your attention on God and you'll be changed from the inside out. And that's what Overcomers Academy is all about. It's about putting God first. It's about surrendering our food issues to him. It's about learning how to change and what's so important about that. It's about learning how to deal with your emotions. It's about getting closer to God. It's about giving all of these emotional burdens that we're carrying to him and letting him work in your life in those areas. Last week in Overcomers, we started our Transforming Change course. And here are some of the lesson titles, just so you know. Being Fed by Jesus, Chrysalis, Demo Day, How Did You Lose the Weight? Me versus the World, that's one I really like. Metamorphosis, another one I love. Spirit as CEO, it's another great, all of these are great lessons. Submission on this journey and Transforming Change. That's 9 lessons, and then we'll start on another course. Possibly a new one, a new course connected to the new book that I'm working on right now. So if you join today, you can get in on this course. Plus, I always encourage every new member to go through my Journey to Transformation course, which includes all of my foundational principles. And even if somebody is doing one-on-one coaching with me, I want them to go through Journey to Transformation because that's the foundational principles, and I don't want to have to repeat them to those who are paying for the lessons, because they really can get all of that information right there in my course. The link to Overcomers Academy is on my website, teresashieldsparker.com. It's under the weight loss tab, and it'll also be down in the show notes. So we started this episode talking about the cost of unhealthy foods, but I just want to mention the cost of eating out as well. Most of us frequent restaurants like they're going out of style. I mean, we're maybe in a slowdown now because of the pandemic, but in the past, I know eating out's been a big deal for a lot of people. We can still eat out and eat healthy. It's harder some places than others, but most every place I go to, at least, will have the option of adding grilled chicken or shrimp to a salad, and that's an easy way to eat out and usually not a costly alternative. Speaking of costs, I know most of us don't think twice about getting our hair done, paying a bill for Netflix or cable or whatever TV service we use. So understanding the value of healthy eating and even paying for a coaching group is much more valuable than those things that we just spend our money on without thinking. Because healthy eating and even joining a coaching group can actually mean the difference between life and death for you. So let's figure out how to eat to fuel our bodies with the right kind of fuel. Do yourself a favor. Invest in you, because you are worth it. You are so worth it. Investing in you might mean changing the way you eat, or it might mean getting some help on the journey, or it might mean both. Whatever God is leading you to do, my friend, I'm telling you, you are worth it. Sweet grace for your journey.